everybody, welcome back to Nick's Mini Bikes. Got a package in the mail. As you know, we had issues with the B200's engine at our last race, so I decided to build it a new one. And what I ended up going with is a Racer ProQuip 236. So I bought this kit to turn a 224 into a 236. Basically, use your head and your crank, and the kit comes with everything else you need. So the first thing in the kit is going to be the 236 block. It's got nice reinforcements here and on the top, and it is a 72 millimeter bore. We got a little bag of goodies. There's crank bearings in there, crank seals, and your tappets in that bag. You get Racer ProQuip's 72 millimeter piston, and their wrist pin. You got rings in the bag and your wrist pin retainers. It also comes with an ARC 6270 billet rod. This looks like your normal billet rod, and your rod bearings. Goes to the side cover gasket and a head gasket. So you'll also have to reuse your side cover. So now that we know what's in the box, come along for the ride and let's get this thing put together. So we're gonna tap out these two holes so we can get some bolts in them later. I don't have the bolts, but I know what size I want, so I'm just gonna tap them out. We did a 1/4 20 on the top, and we'll do a 7/16 20 on the side here. We got governor wheel hole, needs to be tapped out to a 1/4 20 also. I'm gonna clean this out now. For my bearing, we'll get it put in. We'll just set it in there. Try to get it as flat as we can. And I got a bearing driver. We'll just tap her home. Got that bearing installed. Spins pretty good. I'm gonna get our piston put onto our rod, and we'll start with one clip here. Just be careful that these clips don't take off on you. We'll get some assembly lube. I'm gonna use some Lucas assembly lube on this one. I usually just use oil, but today we're gonna do assembly lube. Just get some on that wrist pin and we'll spread it around. We'll get it started in this piston. Put a little bit in the rod. We'll slide them together. And we'll put our other clip in. Just making sure that clip is in the groove. And there's our rod and piston together. So I am hoping that since this block is made for this, there will be no clearancing needed for the rod, but we're still going to dry fit it together and double check it. So I got our rod apart here. Just going to make sure everything is clean. So we're going to clean the journal on the rod. And we'll clean its bearing half. That bearing's in. And we'll do the same to the cap. Both of these have little ears. I don't know if you can see that. And there's a spot on the cap for that ear, and same for the rod. Just line those up. Push that bearing in there. Put some assembly lube on the bearing. Spread it out. And we'll just put that into the block for now. Got an old 224 crank. The journal measures good. Pretty round. Get some lube on this half of the bearing. And we'll get this cap installed. I just went finger tight on those because checking for clearance on the rod. So that dipper does touch on the back of the block there. And that rod, hard to show you, but that rod barely clears the bottom of that cylinder. And we have plenty of room at the top. Plenty of room at the top. Barely misses the cylinder and touches on the back. So I'll get this apart. I'll get that clearancing done, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, so I got that clearancing done. There it is there. That's where the dipper was rubbing right there. So we got that done. And at the bottom of that cylinder there, did some clearance in there for the rod. It didn't take much down there. It took quite a bit more than I expected for the dipper, but it's all cleared now. I used this to double check everything, so we're good. Now we're just going to give it a good clean, make sure we get all the grit out of there. Got that good and clean, we'll set it to the side, and we'll get going with our rings here. We're going to have a total of 5 rings. First 3 we need are going to be these ones. We'll just get these on here. So our 2 rings are different. One has a silver edge and one has a black. The black is going to be your second ring. It has a letter on it. It always goes up. We'll just work that on there. Top ring has a silver and letters. The letters go up. Got our rings orientated the way we want. Just going to dump a little bit of oil into the cylinder. A little bit of oil on those rings. A little bit of oil in my compressor. It's kind of a messy process, but. And then I'll get this ring compressor on my piston. Double check my rings. They're good. Get this set into the bore. I'm going to tap, make sure my compressor is square. all the way around. That looks pretty good. Tap that piston in. And we'll put some assembly lube on the crank. We'll get our cap in place. Got oil on our rod bolt. We'll just slide it in. Some oil on our second one. And we'll start the torquing process. It says start at 60. I go ahead and start at 30. Problem. So there we go. We got that rod installed, torqued up to 170 inch-pounds. All right, so it started to rain on us, so we moved this party inside. We got our lifters lubed up and in there, and we got our cam put in there. We're gonna be running a 275 Racer's ProQuip cam. Got my side cover cleaned up, get a new gasket on there, put some lube in this cam journal hole. We'll get this torqued on there. I'll get these torqued down to 17 foot-pounds. This is a glass table under here, so I'm gonna move to the floor to do that. We got all those torqued, so we're ready to move on. So for this build, I decided to go with an ARC billet flywheel that I have on the shelf. It's used, but it's still in pretty good shape. So we'll just get it lapped in place. And I'm happy with that lap. You can see the color change. So I'll run this outside, clean it, and bring it back in. We got that taper cleaned off. Wouldn't hit it, put that woodruff key in there off camera because glass table, you know. I don't want to be banging on the glass table. We'll slide this flywheel on. And we got our starter cup. Got a nut. Then on the back side here, we got our crank holder that I made. Now I'll move to the floor again and I'll torque that flywheel to 60 foot-pounds. So we got that flywheel on there, torqued down to 60 foot-pounds. I didn't check my clearances because this cam came out of a 212 and it didn't have any issue. But with the extra stroke, my rod was coming in contact with the cam, so I had to grind in between the lobes. So I did that. I got the side cover put back on, torqued down, and now I'm ready to do the head. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. You just watched me do valve springs in a few videos ago, so I'm just going to put some valve springs in that head because we tore it down, trying to figure out what was wrong with that 212. So I'm going to put it back together and then I'll be back. So we got this at top dead center and that thing is way down in the hole. Kind of makes me sad. Lose a lot of compression with how far in the hole that is, but that's okay. It is what it is. Put the head back on and we'll get it torqued down 17 foot-pounds. Once again, I'll go back to the ground. So we decided to go with the stock shred head rocker arms. Get our push rods put in. Both valves will get a lash cap. We'll get some lube on there. Those lash caps on. A little bit of lube on the top of that lash cap. And the rocker, and the push rod. Set our rocker arms in place. Start down the adjuster. This rocker arm. Start on that adjuster. I'm going to set this lash, just set it at a loose. That one feels pretty good. Repeat it on the exhaust side. That feels pretty good. We'll spin it over a few times. So there's our valve lash, both set to a loose 2. Now we'll go ahead and set up my coil. Got 2 pieces of cardboard. They measure 40 thou. That's what I'm going to use to set my gap. That magnet sucks that coil down. Using cardboard, it's a lot more flexible than using filler gauge. So I went ahead and finished it up. I got the valve covers on, I got the breather tubes on, I got the fan shroud on, I got the clutch on, got the clutch cover on, and I put it in the bike. This isn't the first start of the bike. It's been to 1 race already, but I'm going to go ahead and start it up for you and let you hear it. You want to see it riding? That'll be in an upcoming video. I'll have footage from the race we took it to. If you want to check that out, that'll be coming out the next couple weeks. So let's see if it'll fire up. she runs. She runs pretty good. I'd like to get a bigger cam for it. Some dual 32 springs, some titanium keepers and retainers, and a longer rod, and get that piston closer to top dead center, get some of that compression back. It should be running close to 12 and a half, 13 to 1 compression, but with as far as that piston is in the hole, I doubt it's that high. I wish I would have measured it while I was putting it together, but my caliper's broke and I didn't have a way to actually measure it, so I didn't. So that's the plan for this engine. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. That way you can see how this bike runs in an upcoming video when we have it at the Dirt Oval racetrack at Honor Speedway. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, mother